You're doing too much and it is slowing down your success. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive because we've been conditioned to believe that the more actions we take and the more we do, the more success we will achieve. But the truth is that is not the case. Doing more is not the answer. Oftentimes, it is the problem. So, in today's episode, I'm going to be covering how an overpacked schedule is actually sabotaging your goals, it sabotages your success, and I'm going to show you how to simplify your achievements and your actions so you can actually achieve your goals in an easier and simpler way. Hey, welcome back to the Fire Inside podcast, the podcast for high achieving ambitious women who want to reclaim 10 or more hours per week to grow their careers and their life, be consistent, and actually do more what matters most to them without burning out. I'm your host, Sade Kelly, time manager coach, wife, and mom, and I'm really excited to do today's episode because, as always, I'm excited. Like, that's nothing new. But I think this episode is going to really blow your mind. What I've seen a lot with working with so many high achieving ambitious women is we absolutely love doing the most. We love doing all of the things. We love to claim we can do it all. And I am one who loves to claim I can do it all. I've always been that way. But what I realized is when we have like 20 things to get done in a day, 30 things to get done in a day, a list for a week that includes 90 different tasks. I have seen that before, you guys. I've definitely seen that with some of my clients. If you're one of my clients, you know we've talked about this. And what I realize is when we're trying to do all of these things in like 24 hours, we're setting ourselves up for failure again and again and again. When we have a schedule that's so time blocked down to the minute, and we give ourselves no time and space for a lack of energy, for a shift in mood, for a time to sit down and breathe, what we're doing is overcrowding our schedule, overdoing it physically, overdoing it in terms of our mindset, our nervous system, and what it's doing is holding us back. And for many people, it sounds crazy to think like that. I'm someone, when I initially heard that, I thought it was insane. I was like, well, that's probably for mediocre average people. Like, I'm being real. That's exactly what I thought. Don't judge me, guys. Like, I was like, I don't operate like that. I'm a high achiever. I am someone who's successful. Like, this is how I view myself. I'm extraordinary. I'm out of the ordinary. And what I realized is I was putting myself on this super high pedestal, thinking if I put myself on this superwoman pedestal, if I treated myself like I was a superhero, like a robot, instead of a human being, that I would actually achieve more seeing myself through that lens. Now, that did not help me to achieve more, you guys. It helped me to burn out very quickly, to be physically tired almost all the time, to say the last time I felt rested was when I was 9 years old. You can ask my husband. I used to say that when we were dating, and he used to think I was insane because I would literally be like, oh, I'm always tired. Like, I run on tired. It's okay. Like, parents will say they're tired now, and yes, as a parent, I have moments of tiredness. But I used to feel like in my early 20s when I was really, really hustling, I couldn't even imagine the last time I was rested. I'd always say it's when I was like 9 years old, and I was not exaggerating because I was always just working so hard. And not only was I working so hard like mentally, I was working hard physically too, because a lot of times our stress and anxiety that we're putting onto ourselves, that perfectionism that I used to put onto myself, made me feel like I was working so hard and I could just accomplish 1,000 things on Monday, and it just was unrealistic. And what I see for people is when you're trying to achieve 1,000 things in 1 week or even in 1 day, you will start to see yourself in a different lens in terms of you will start to see yourself as someone who doesn't achieve what they say they will. You'll start to see yourself as someone who sets these to-do lists, who sets up these goals, and you just don't achieve them the time you say. So you just don't trust yourself to set them in good time frames. And what that does is it starts to dwindle down your confidence, because then you start to not believe in yourself, you start to not trust yourself, you start to not think these things will actually happen, or they'll happen someday, and then someday may or may not happen. And then what happens is you start to have resentment, right? And it honestly just dwindles down into you feeling like not good enough, feeling inadequate, feeling unfulfilled. Oftentimes people treat the to-do list like it's a measurement of their worth, of their work ethic, and that's often not true, because a lot of times there's something wrong with your list. In general, I hate to-do lists, and we're going to talk about what you should have instead, but the hidden cost of trying to just do so much is you start to have decision fatigue. You start to not believe in yourself as much. You start to have scattered focus. You end up burning out a lot. So now that we've talked about how doing more is slowing you down, it's causing you to not be as successful, you're overloading yourself, let's talk about what to do instead. Because now we know that doing more is just not it. You're burning yourself out. You're trying to do so many different things that you're dwindling out your energy very quickly, like a battery you're using up early in the day. And then by the end of the day, you're no good to anyone, right? Not even yourself. So there's big power in doing less. And like how I like to think about it is I like to use the 80-20 rule. So if you haven't heard of the 80-20 rule, it sums up how 20% of your efforts create 80% of your results. And there's so many different ways in which people use the 80-20 rule. You can use it in your diet, which I love to do that too. But how you identify your 20% is going to really impact what you achieve. So we want to simplify our priorities so we can accelerate our progress. So oftentimes what that looks like for me is I love to use the Eisenhower Decision Matrix, which I have my own priorities like a pro guide. You can find that in the show notes. It's free. You can download it and start using it. But how I like to think about my task is it urgent and important? Meaning, should I do this now? Should I do this right away? And I like to write in those tasks on a week-to-week basis. What are urgent and important tasks? Then I like to write in what are things that are important, they mean something to me, there's something that's going to move the needle, but they're not necessarily urgent. And urgent for me means they don't need to happen within the next week. They could probably happen within the next 2 weeks, month, 3 months, or whatever. They can be scheduled out. That's the whole point of the tasks that are in that quadrant, because this is a quadrant. And then the next square is the stuff that is not necessarily important, but they're urgent. So these are like maybe little admin things, tasks, things I can delegate to somebody else, things I can reschedule, things I can do on like my admin day and just knock them all out. They're like small little tasks. I like to batch those things together because they don't take as much brain work. And those are things that I may do when my energy is like dwindling down. And then I like to think about what are things, if any, that are not important and not urgent, but for some reason I keep trying to do them. So are there things that I'm doing that are basically self-sabotaging that I'm not even realized or conscious of that I keep putting on my list, or I keep finding myself doing, or habits that I no longer want to be doing that I see myself doing? Now, some people like to think of this as a not to-do list, which however you want to label it, you can. I just think of it as the stuff I need to delete. So it's either a delete list or a not to-do list. And these are the things you just want to remind yourself that you no longer need to be doing. Because sometimes we need the reminder of the things that are holding us back because we forget. We are humans, right? We often are doing things habitually. We are used to doing things. Sometimes we're doing things just out of doing the motions of our usual day-to-day life, and we need to call out things that we no longer need to be doing. Like if you have a tendency to want to get easily distracted by things that seem productive that actually aren't, I call it productive procrastination, start putting those tasks in. Are you someone who you come downstairs, like anything like me, I like to, like I've talked about in videos, clean up. I want to make sure everything is set. And it's like, Sade, that's not the highest priority with your high energy time. Maybe you can do that at a later time, or maybe you wake up a little earlier to do that and you remove that task from making you feel productive when it really isn't. So after you've gone through and prioritized into those different quadrants that I talked about, and if you want a visual of that, I will actually leave one on the screen so you can see it, but also you can go into the show notes and download this guide. It's a PDF. You can literally go in and do this every single week. I want you to then think through, okay, now that you have all the tasks that you need to do, the things that are important and urgent, maybe for the next week, and then you have the things you want to schedule in for later, reschedule, delegate, or batch together. That was that quadrant 3. And then you have the things you want to delete, your not to-do list. What I want you to do is go through this list, right? And look at each of these priorities and think through, when can I get these things done? This is really, really big, okay? A lot of people will just keep their list of their priorities and just have a long running to-do list. And that's oftentimes what people's to-do lists look like. Sometimes it's even prioritized, sometimes it's not. Sometimes I see people just do a brain dump of all the things they want to get done ever in life, and it's just ridiculous. Why are you working off that list? I don't know. That's just a starting point. But some people will get to the point where, okay, I prioritize the list. I know what my priorities are. I have a bunch of different priorities. I've separated them out into the different groups that you just mentioned, but I don't actually assign them. And this is a big missing link for a lot of people. What you want to do next is take these priorities and assign them to a day and a time. Now, if you're someone who likes to put a specific time frame, go ahead and do that. You can put that through time blocking on your Google Calendar or on your planner, whether you like a physical planner or you like a digital planner or you like a mixture of both. Or you can put it into one of your task management softwares. I've talked a lot about Sansama. That's my favorite. I'll link that in the show notes if you want to download Sansama and try it out for free for 30 days. You can use my link. You can put it in something like TickTick. You can put it in something like Google Tasks, something like Todoist, Notion. Like there's so many. I'm not going to go through all of them. But I want you to like at least pick one of the task management softwares that you enjoy. If you don't have one, pick one, get to know it, and just start using it. And don't sit here and tell me you don't like it until you've at least used it consistently for at least 30 days. Because what I see is a lot of people will start to use it and they don't pick it back up and use a task management software habitually until you develop the habit. So be okay with like falling on and off, but Eventually, you're going to get there if you can do it for 30 days consistently. It consistently doesn't necessarily mean every single day in the beginning, but at least more often than not, 5 days out the week, at least you're going into it and figuring out, okay, this is where I'm managing all my tasks. This is how I'm keeping track of things. So after you have these priorities, it's really, really important to put it into either a time block or put it in a task management software and start thinking about how much time am I going to allocate to each of these priorities. Because when you start to realize how much time you're going to allocate, and what I love about Sansama is you can actually go in and say, this is the planned amount of time I want to give to these specific tasks. And what it lets you do is create a task, whether it is like a project or it's a specific context, and then you can put subtasks in and you can start to say, this is how much time I'm going to take for this, for that, for this. And I love doing this, for instance, for my podcast. I'll say, okay, this is what I'm going to film on this day. This is the videos I'm going to film. This is when I'm going to edit the videos. This is when I'm going to create each thumbnail. This is when I'm going to take each picture. This is when I'm going to do the promo video. Like every single thing is a line item, and I'm saying I'm going to take 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here. And then you start to realize as I'm doing all these different steps, Sansama will calculate, okay, all these different steps add up to an hour and a half. And you might have thought, oh, I just need 30 minutes to do this. This is where a lot of people go wrong. They think they need this short amount of time, but when we actually itemize it out, we see that we need longer times to do things. And I love doing this because especially as a mom, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I take care of my child full-time right now. And I have help here and there. Of course, my husband helps. He also works from home. But for the most part, I'm doing the majority of the child care, right? So I have specific hours in which I can work. And because I know that, I do my best to make sure my priorities are line item out. They're to the T. I'm timing them while I'm doing them. Like I actually have a timer going and I'm tracking how long I'm taking for each task. I'm figuring out how I can systemize it, make it faster, make templates. Like I'm working through each thing, and that is how my workflow goes. So I have the priorities. So I want you to select your priorities, assign them to a time and a day. And then I want you to figure out how much time each of them is taking for you so that you know how to actually allocate it correctly. I promise you guys, this is going to change your life. You're going to achieve so much more, and you're also going to do so much less at the same time, because you'll realize, okay, I can do about maybe 4 hours worth of like focused work, and then I have a couple meetings or I have different things to take on. Depending on your lifestyle, it'll be different. But you'll start to see, okay, after I've done about 4 hours of worth of work, I need a break. I'm tired. Like this is how much I can actually accomplish. And maybe I'm getting like 2 or 3 big projects done throughout the day or big tasks. And then the rest have to be allocated throughout the week. And then maybe by the end of the week, you've done like 10 things, but they're 10 really important things that have moved the needle, that make sense for your lifestyle, that make you feel fulfilled, versus doing like 20, 30, 40 little things because they're easy to check off, or they're simple, or they feel super urgent, or you got a text and they remind you to do this, or you got an email from somebody and reminds you to do this. Meanwhile, that wasn't even planned in your day. Now, the hardest thing I see for people when they actually have accomplished this and they figured out, okay, here's the cheat code, here's the system on how I can be doing less and I can be doing more impactful things that actually move the needle. Because this is what a lot of people talk about, move the needle, but they don't actually tell you how to set up your day, pick those priorities, simplify, say no to a lot of things so you can say yes to things that actually matter most to you, right? And this is the way in which you can avoid burnout, by not doing the absolute most, but doing the things that matter the most. The thing that people don't often highlight is that the hardest part of this is making sure you stay disciplined. And I have other episodes on discipline, and of course I'm going to say if you really struggle with discipline, you probably will benefit the most from having someone hold you accountable. And that is exactly what I do in the Overwhelmed to Organized coaching program. And if you're not ready for a coaching program, I also have coaching sessions that I do. I call them time management transformation sessions. And if you're interested in either of that, you can always apply for a time audit call in the link in the show notes. And that's like the best first step for us to see how we can work together. But discipline is something that has to be built up over time. It is like a muscle. It's not something that's going to just come completely natural to people. And if you struggle with it, that is going to be the hardest part for you when you're implementing this. So if you need help with discipline, you can either watch back, podcast episodes, book a call with me. I would love to walk you through that. But this is where I want you to at least push yourself to practice discipline by at least starting with this. Sama will make it easy to see how much time you have scheduled for each task that you're doing for the day. and then actually time out how much time it actually takes you, so that you can start to see patterns on whether or not you are allocating enough time for things and planning it correctly. It'll also give you a report at the end of the week you can use to inform you on where your time is actually going. So if you're someone who really cares about the nitty gritty of here's where my time is going, here's my priorities are going, here's how I'm moving the needle, here's how I'm not, here's where I need to shift in my priorities in my day-to-day so I can actually see the success that I want to see, then you're going to love this tool. You don't have to use this tool, but I highly recommend it. It's what I use, it's what my clients use, it's how we see a lot of success productively every single week. So when it comes to your action item, I want you to just start planning out your flexible day, right? I want you to have your morning routine set up in your task management and or calendar or planner. I want you to have your flexible day routine, your priorities, what they look like, how long you're going to take. And I want you to actually start timing yourself and keeping up with it. And then I want you to have your nice set night routine. Your daily ritual should include these 3 core routines: morning time, daytime, nighttime. Very simply, what are you going to be doing? You can have different things that you like to do day to day, different things you like to do every month or weekly. Like you can switch up what it looks like, but you at least want to have that structure at least the night before. I really recommend having it planned out a week ahead. If you have anyone else in your household you need to meet with, who you need to be synced up with day to day, I would recommend you guys meet every single week and talk day to day, maybe touch points with each other, so that you make sure that your weeks are aligned. And if you start to do this, you'll notice that your whole household will also start to morph into this more productive, seamless, more calm way of living, because you know where you're going after. You're planning it, you're adapting as you need. You're not expecting it to go perfectly, but you at least have a set plan that can put you at ease and make you feel confident and productive, and know that you are able to pick out the main core things that you need to be doing so you can do less, but do more impactful things that mean more than doing a bunch of different busy work that doesn't get you anywhere. So if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to not only do your action item and stay consistent with that, but also share this episode with somebody you know needs it. I really love seeing the community grow, and I'm excited to see this podcast get to thousands of subscribers really, really soon. I'm so excited. I can't believe we've gotten to a year of doing episodes almost. It's like really amazing. Like 9 straight months of episodes is amazing. Every single week I've been here showing up for you guys. So all I ask for you to show up for me is to like, comment, and subscribe, and please share this podcast so we can continue to grow. I'll see you guys in the next episode. As always, take care. Bye.